Good morning, Morai Rabotai, Beruchim Abaim. We're continuing on Masechet Succah, and we're on Daf Mem Amud Bet, 6 lines down from the top of the Amud. Today's Amud is being learned as a Zchut Rufah Shelema for Michael ben Nahid, for Rachel Simcha bat Nahid, and for Esther Bracha bat Chaya, Jamshid Avraham ben Tajgol, that should all have Rufah Shelema B'ezras Hashem. Amen. Today's Amud has also been sponsored for Aliyat Neshama of Shlomo ben Yaakov. Aliyah. This week's learning of the community has been dedicated graciously by the Shea family, Kohen family, and Dayan family. It should be an ultimate zchut for all their mishpachot. Amen. Amen. So we are continuing on the discussion that we started of what exactly is the process of chilul in perot shvit. We all know that when you have hekdesh, there are two ways to transfer the kedusha of hekdesh onto money, onto something else. One is when you purchase hekdesh from the gizbar. Purchasing hekdesh makes it that now the money becomes kadosh, and the hekdesh, the item, the object, now goes out lechulin. That we know. So you could do it through purchase, but you could also do it through a regular transfer of a pidyon. You have both of them. You're not buying it from anybody else. I would say kedusha of this should be chal on that. I am podeh. I'm exchanging the kedusha from this object onto the money, and that is another methodology of doing it. We're going to be discussing whether or not that applies to shvi'it, the kedusha of shvi'it as well, or maybe only through purchase you could do transfer of kedusha, but not through a regular chilul, what we would call, right?
When you transfer yourself to your own product, you have to pay the extra that you would for Masechet, for example.
Correct. But again, that's the whole question. By hekdesh is that way. The question is, do we have even that methodology by shvi'it? So says the Gemara. Again, 6 lines down from the top. Amar Rabbi Elazar, En shvi'it mitchalel ela derech mekach. The shvi'it, the kedushat shvi'it, perot shvi'it, is not mitchalel. It does not go to chulin, does not get transferred, but derech mekach, only through purchase, through a transactional interaction. So says the Gemara. Rabbi Yochanan Amar, this is Rabbi Elazar, who was a Talmid Chaver of Rabbi Yochanan. You all remember how we discussed the story of Resh Lakish and Rabbi Yochanan, and how Resh Lakish passed away. It was initiated by an interaction that he had with Rabbi Yochanan, and Rabbi Yochanan afterwards was depressed, right? So who they bring to become the chavruta, the new chavruta of Rabbi Yochanan was Rabbi Elazar. He's a student of Rabbi Yochanan. He was a very sharp mind and a sophisticated individual that knew all of the braitas and so on and so forth. Whatever Rabbi Yochanan would say, he would bring him many proofs and support for what he said. Rabbi Yochanan said, I don't need you to support me. Rabbi Shlomo Yisraeli, where are you and where was Resh Lakish? Resh Lakish, whatever I would say, he would challenge me 24 different questions and challenges. I had to answer all of them, but within the question and answer, it would become Rav Chashmata, it would become very clear, everything I say, so you're right. So I know I'm right. I want you to challenge me. That was Rabbi Elazar. Rabbi Elazar was Mara Da'ara de Israel. He was considered the biggest Talmid Chacham after Resh Lakish in Israel. So he's a Talmid Chaver. And here is a debate between Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Elazar. So Rabbi Yochanan Amar, Ben derech mekach, ben derech chilul. It doesn't have to be transactional. It could also be derech chilul. It could be a regular derech chilul. My tama, Rabbi Elazar. What is the reasoning of Rabbi Elazar? Dichtiv, as it says in the pasuk. In other words, Rabbi Elazar darshins the pasuk. Bishnat hayovel hazot. There are 2 psukim that are juxtaposed next to one another. One is speaking about people going back to their achuzah. Bishnat hayovel hazot tashuvu ish lachuzatom. Every person goes back to their inheritance. And immediately the next pasuk says, "Vechi timkeru memkar lamitecha." When you sell something to your friend, or kano miad amitecha, or you buy from your friend, al tonu ish et achiv. By the way, the Safra, the Midrash Halacha, learns from this pasuk that you must buy from a Jew if you can, right? Vechi timkeru memkar lamitecha, or kano miad amitecha. Right? Because the whole machloket, Chafetz Chaim and Maharsham, you have to spend more money to support a Jewish cause, or is it only when it is the same purchase, is not any more expensive, that you are obligated to buy from a Jewish cause, but not when it is going out of your way? It makes it obviously a large enough commitment nowadays that you have online purchases and so on, but that's just the parenthetic tangent. It's from this pasuk, the juxtaposition of these two psukim, learns Rabbi Elazar is telling me v'samich levechitim kerumem ka'ar derech mekach velo derech kilul, that when you deal with perot shvi'it, it says bishnat hashvi'it azot, that bishnat hashvi'it azot only works derech memkar. That juxtaposition is coming to teach you that on Shvi'it you only could take care of the Kedusha of Shvi'it with Timkeru Memkar Lamitecha. You sell it, you get rid of the Kedusha, but not with a regular Chilul to say this Kedusha should be mechulal on the money. That you cannot do within your own domain, says the Gemara. So now, Rabbi Yochanan, what does he do with his drasha? Rabbi Yochanan Ma'itama, what's the reasoning, what's the drasha of Rabbi Yochanan? Dichtiv, his is pretty straightforward. It says in the pasuk, Ki yovel hi kodesh. When the pasuk speaks about the Shnat HaShmita ve'yovel, it says, Ki yovel hi kodesh tiyeh lachem min asad tochlu tevuata. So why does he say yovel hi kodesh? Why does he have to tell me that yovel is kadosh? I know the halachot of yovel. You are amidst telling me all of the details of the halachot of yovel. So just tell me the halachot. Why do you have to say ki yovel hi kodesh? Why do I have to know yovel? I know yovel is kadosh. It says it elsewhere also. So it says Rabbi Yochanan, it's very specifically used. Ki yovel hi kodesh is coming to tell you that this is all the halachot of Hekdesh. It is just like halachot of Hekdesh, and therefore I could apply anything that I know to be true by Hekdesh to also fruits of Shvi'it that also contain a level of Kedusha. So says the Gemara, says Rabbi Yochanan, Ma kodesh ben derech mekach ben derech hilul. Just like by Hekdesh, by Kodesh, I could transfer the Kedusha even without me buying or selling. In other words, we all recognize that if you go purchase something from the Gabbai of the Beit HaMikdash, a diamond ring that was given as a donation to the Beit HaMikdash has Hekdesh. It's Hekdesh. That's Kedusha in it. Now you buy that diamond ring, the diamond ring no longer is considered Hekdesh, and the money that I paid for it now is Hekdesh, and it has to be used for the Bedek HaBayit, for the needs of Beit HaMikdash. That is through purchase, right? It is no longer, the ring is no longer Asur B'Hana. A regular Hekdesh is Asur B'Hana. You cannot use it, right? You can't just say, okay, I'm going to borrow this for my wife to wear it at the wedding, a diamond ring. If you do that, by the way, what happens? You're Mo'el Be'Hekdesh, and now this is no longer Hekdesh. That goes lechulin. You have to now, you owe the money to the Hekdesh, but you also transgressed a Me'ilah to the Beit HaMikdash. You used something of Hekdesh. So here, not only purchasing works, but by Hekdesh also just transfer works like that within the same domain. So says Rabbi Yochanan, I learned from the pasuk of Ki yovel hi kodesh that Shemitah is like Hekdesh. I could buy it, right? If I buy a perot shvi'it, now the perot shvi'it are no longer the same level of kedusha, and the money now is transferred. So says the Gemara. Now we got to come back to this fruits of Shvi'it going out of their kedusha. So freeze that in your mind for just a moment. Says the Gemara, Af Shvi'it ben derech mekach ben derech chilul. Shvi'it also could be either way. It could be through purchasing. It could also be through chilul, regular transfer of kedusha. Rabbi Yochanan, hai kitim keru memkar my avidle. Now the Gemara is going to contrast Rabbi Elazar and Rabbi Yochanan. Each one of them, how does he learn the other person's pasuk? So it says Rabbi Yochanan has to also deal with the fact that it says kitim keru memkar lamitecha right after ubishnat hashvi'it azot tashuvu ish el mishpachto. The juxtaposition of shvi'it and rechitim keru memkar. That Rabbi Yochanan also has to explain. So says the Gemara, Mibaile Licht Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina. He needs it for Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina, the Tanya, as we learned. Amar Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina. This is a drasha of Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina. Bo'ur'e, come and see, Kama kashe avka shel shvi'it. You want to know how bad it is for a person who is not careful in the halachot, the details of the halachot of Shvi'it. You know what happens? The pasuk is telling you what's going to happen with a person who's not careful in halachot of Shvi'it. Adam noseh v'notem beperot Shvi'it. We said in the preface that we had in the halachot, in the very beginning of our Gemara, that by Shvi'it is Isur Schora. One of the prohibitions, you cannot do business with the money with the fruits of Shvi'it. Now says the Gemara, said Rabbi Yossi, and this is what Rabbi Yochanan follows as well, that the person that deals Schora with Perot Shvi'it in a prohibited way, Lesof mocher et metaltelav ve'et kelav. Not only he doesn't end with the money, he doesn't have any siman bracha in it, but rather he will lose also his real estate and his metaltelin. He'll lose everything. Shenemar, as it says, bishnat hayovel hazeh tashuvu el ish el achuzato v'samichle v'chitem keru memkar la'amitecha. Says if you sell perot shvi'it, if you do business with perot shvi'it, then you will lose everything, the house and all that will be gone. Fine. So says the Gemara, that's how Rabbi Yochanan deals with Rabbi Elazar's drasha. It's not that he has nothing to do with the juxtaposition, right? The juxtaposition is something that needs biur. You go through the psukim, like, why is this next to that? Right? So everyone is bothered with that. Everyone has something to say. Rabbi Elazar has what? He said, he learns that you could only do chilul through mekach umemkar, through purchase and interaction of transactional purchase. But Rabbi Yochanan says, no, that's not what it's teaching you. It is coming to teach you simply that if a person does a prohibited transaction with perot shvi'it, he will, chas v'shalom, be cursed. He will lose everything. Fine. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Elazar, Hai krad Rabbi Yochanan my avidle. What does Rabbi Elazar do with Rabbi Yochanan's drasha? That Rabbi Yochanan's drasha was very, very straightforward, right? Very straightforward. Says Rabbi Elazar like this: Mibaile lichdetanya. He also needs this for another halacha we learn from a different braita. Ki yoveli kodesh. When the pasuk says yovel is kodesh, is not coming to tell you it has the halachot of hekdesh, but rather ma kodesh tofes et damav, av shvi'it tofeset et dameha. That just like hekdesh, the kedusha doesn't go away, it will go on by taking over the value that you exchange for it. Shvi'it is the same way, right? Now we'll learn an example for that in just a moment. Tanya kvated Rabbi Elazar, Tanya kvated Rabbi Yochanan. There is a braita supporting Rabbi Elazar. There's a braita supporting Rabbi Yochanan. So it's not that these shitot of Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Yochanan are just what they believed. You find supporting Tanaic work in Braitas for both of these shitas. So let's go through Rabbi Elazar's support first. Tanya quoted Rabbi Elazar. The support we have from the Braita, like Rabbi Elazar, is like this. Shvi'it tofeset edam. It's a long raya, goes until almost the bottom of the Amud. Shvi'it tofeset edameh. That Shvi'it takes over its value. Shenemar, as the pasuk says, ki yovelihi kodesh. Right? We just learned this, that Rabbi Yochanan holds from this pasuk. You see that Shvi'it is exactly like Hekdesh. Rabbi Elazar said, no. You see from here that Shvi'it tofeset et dameha. That the money that you exchange for Shvi'it, it will go on and on, replacing its kedusha with the next item. So says the Gemara, Ma kodesh tofes et damav ve'asur, af shvi'it tofeset et damea ve'asura. So says the Gemara, Ima kodesh tofes et damav ve'yotze lechulin. If that's correct, that we are to compare hekdesh and shvi'it when it comes to tefisat tamim, when it comes to the money that you exchange with it becoming kadosh, we should also compare it completely with kodesh. You know what happens with kodesh? If I have an item of hekdesh, and now I exchange this with money, right? Or I purchase it, what happens to the item itself, to the original item itself? What happens to it? It is complete chulin. Complete chulin. It has zero kedusha. Zero kedusha. You can use it for yourself. So we should learn that should be also with shvi'it. That if I purchased perot shvi'it and the money became kadosh, now the fruits of shvi'it should be completely chulin. Right? That would be the logical discourse of comparing this with kodesh. If you say kiyoveli kodesh and you're comparing the shvi'it with hekdesh, so this should be the logical discourse. Says the Gemara, af shvi'it tofeset dameh v'yotzeh lechulin. You want to learn that should be the case? Well, we know that that's not the case. Talmud lomar, the pasuk says, no, tihye ki yovel hi kodesh tihye lachem. Why do you have to say tihye lachem? Just say ki yovel hi kodesh. Have a nice day. Chazak u'baruch. What's tihye lachem? Says the Gemara, tihye lachem is coming to tell you that even after you purchase and you transfer the kedusha, the original fruit of shvi'it bekedushato tihye will remain in its kedusha. So let's give an example of what that exactly means in practical example. So says the Gemara, haketzat. Let's give an example for this. Lakach beperot shvi'it basar. You have perot shvi'it. So you go to the marketplace, you get a pound of flesh for perot shvi'it. So you give perot shvi'it to Reuben, and you take some meat instead. Fine. Elu ve'elu mitba'arin. Both of the fruits of shvi'it and the basar, you only have time until Shata Biur. After Shata Biur, you have to burn them. You have to get rid of them, right? What happened with chulin? No chulin. The original perot shvi'it stays in its kedusha as far as biur is concerned, right? So therefore, for instance, if you have wine of shvi'it wine, right? Even though that they sold it few times, right? This guy sold it to that guy, to the other guy, to the other guy. You could say, okay, the money has been transferred, the kedusha has been there, but the fruits, the wine itself, still has kedushat shvi'it as far as the zeman habiur is concerned. So once it hits that year's zeman habiur after shvi'it, you have to trash the wine, right? Which is a big deal, because if you find, I don't know if it was 2015 or 16, if you find the Shnata Shemitah, but you can still find them in the market. Sometimes they surface on sale for 50% off, which is 50% too expensive, right? Because it's worth nothing. So that is perot shvi'it. You cannot use it really because after shat abur, right? So it says, or for that matter, you have to look into the avocado creams from Eretz Yisrael. And that's, I think, it's much harder to track when exactly it was made, but impossible it's not. So it says the Gemara, Elu ve'elu mitparin. So that's the first transaction. Now, lakach bebasar dagim. Now imagine you gave the fruits to Reuben, gave you a pound of flesh. Then you know what? I'm just gonna go with fish today. Gonna be more less cholesterol. So you go to the fish market. You give them the basar to Shimon now, and you take some fish. What happened now? Nothing. The basar is completely off the hook, right? The basar now is completely off the hook, but the dagim are on the hook now, right? The fish is on the hook, like no pun intended, right? So says the Gemara, dagim. So yatsa basar v'nichnesu dagim. Now the meat is out, the fish is in, and if you went and you transacted again, lakach b'dagim yayin, you gave the fish to the next guy and you got some wine. Now the fish is out and the wine is in. Yatsu dagim v'nichnas yayin. Lakach b'yayin shemen, and you went again. Doesn't make a difference how many times you do this. You gave the wine and you took some oil. Now the wine is off the hook. The shemen is in now. In other words, that now the shemen has kedushat shvi'it, and what else has kedushat shvi'it? The original fruit that he gave to Reuben. So it's tofeset damea, the two halachot. One is that it's tofeset damea, that whatever you transact with, the last thing has kedushat shvi'it. So that's one halacha. And the second halacha is the fruit itself is untouchable. When it comes to shat biur, that never, it's not like hekdesh. Because the pasuk explicitly says it. Ki yovel hi kodesh tiyeh lachem. That tiyeh lachem teaches me that bekdushato tiyeh, it will forever stay a perot shvit. Forever will stay a fruit. That by itself also means that if you buy in Shnat HaShemitah, listening well? You're buying from Eretz Yisrael etrogim in Shnat HaShemitah. So there are a lot of questions. One is, how are they allowed to do business on mass scale with perot shvi'it, right? Which is, usually through Otzar Bedin. We have to discuss that at some different point. And it doesn't get you off the hook that however you slice it, that it's mutar. Whatever you say, why it is mutar, at the end of the day, when you're finished with your mitzvah on Sukkot, Chag HaSukkot, and Motzai HaChag, the rabbi's son is going around collecting the etrogim to make jam. You cannot do that necessarily with fruits of Shvi'it, because if you make, for instance, a jam, right? If you make, or liqueur, whatever it is that people use the etrog with, you have to be very mindful of shat habiur. You also can't try, regularly speaking, when you have a etrog, after your job is done, at the end of Chag HaSukkot, what do you do with it? You could, with perot shvit, it still has kedusha. You have to keep all the halachot of perot shvi'it when it comes to using. That's why you find many people who in Shnat Shemitah, they will try to buy an etrog that is from Chutz La'aretz to circumvent all of the halachic restrictions that you would have to be careful with on perot shvi'it of the fruits in Eretz Yisrael. So says the Gemara. So haketzat achron nichnas. The rule is shvi'it is tofeset damea. So that's why if the last item that you put this on will be kadosh. So you gave the fruit and you took meat. You gave the meat and got fish. You got the fish and got wine. You gave that and you got oil. The oil is the only one. The achron. The last item has kedushat shvi'it, and of course the perot themselves בשביעית ופרי עצמו אסור. And the fruit itself, the original fruit itself, stays kadosh as it was in regards to shata biur, that when you have to get rid of them. Tanya, so that was the Braita that supported who? Rabbi Elazar. Right? You see that is like Rabbi Elazar. Now, Rabbi Yochanan, the Braita that supports Rabbi Yochanan is Echad Shvi'it ve'echad Maaser Sheni mitchalelin al be'ema chaya ve'of. Whether it is your Maaser Sheni or Shvi'it, they are mitchalel on chaya ve'of or behema. You could transfer the kedusha of Shvi'it or Maaser Sheni on animals as well, right? So says the Gemara, it could be ben chayin, ben shchutin. You could transfer the kedusha of Maaser Sheni or Perot Shvi'it on a livestock, like literally when they're alive, or when after shchita, when they're dead. Divrei Rabbi Meir. That's what Rabbi Meir says. Chachamim disagree with Rabbi Meir. Chachamim say you could only do it al shchutin, mitchalelin, al chayin, and mitchalelin. You could do it on shechted ones, on dead ones, but not on livestock that they're live. So, what is the consideration? The consideration is gezerah shema yigadel mehem adarim, because you know what's going to happen. You got to be mechalel this kedushat shvi'it on this animal, right? And next thing you know, you say, you know what, this is an amazing animal. So you keep it, and he has babies, right? And then before you know it, you have a whole flock of this holy animals, like holy cow walking around, right? That's what's going to happen. Amar Rava machloket. By the way. This is Rabbi Heinemann told me that he was attempting to create a question-free meat by creating a flock of ben pekua. What's ben pekua? What's ben pekua? If you shecht an animal, right, and they are pregnant at the time, a full-term pregnancy. Now, when you shecht them, halachically, the baby inside is considered geschachten as well, right? So you have no problem of questions in shchita and some of the nevela questions and terefa questions in the children. Now, if you have that ben pekua that now is walking around, right, that doesn't need shchita, have another child, right, whether or not the status of ben pekua keeps going on, you could have, if it does, you could have an entire flock, if you pay attention, of ben pekuas walking around, right? So here we have like an entire flock of shvi'it or maaser sheni walking around, which would obviously be very troublesome, halachically speaking. You don't want that to be happening. So Amar Rava says the machloket is only bezecharim. Aval benekevot divrei hakol al shchutin mitchalelin al chayin and mitchalelin. Rava says the whole question, the whole machloket Rabbi Meir and Chachamim is by the male, not by female animals, because female animals, everyone agrees that by female you can do it only after shchita, not when they're alive, because of this problem that we mentioned. Because you're going to have children, and then you're going to get into this problem, right? Take a look at the top Rashi on the Amud. B'scharim she'en megadelin mehem veladot va'afilu achi. And even though that the scharim don't have children, they don't give birth to children, Chachamim still banned it because if you allow this, it's going to end in nekevot as well. So we say, you know what? You cannot be mechalel shvi'it or maaser sheni on live animals. You can't. Wait until they're shechted, then you could do it. Because if I allow you to do it, oh, this is zachar, this is nekeva, and before you know it, people are going to mix up and they're going to do it on nekeva, and then before you know it, they have babies, they're walking around, and before you know it, you have all this safek of Maser Sheni, Kedushat Maser Sheni, and Kedushat Shvi'it, walking around in your flock without you knowing which one is which. It's pretty confusing, right? Have you ever been in farms that they have these animals, and it's very hard to recognize which one is which, and they're all running around, moving around. All you need is one mistake, and then you have all this shvi'it and thing, and you're going to come to use Kedushat Maser Sheni or Kedushat Shvi'it outside of its parameters of Kedusha, and therefore we just say, don't be mehalel Kedushat Shvi'it or Maser Sheni on livestock when before Shchita. Wait until Shchita and afterwards.
Aren't you lechatchila not allowed to exchange for Maser Sheni outside of Yerushalayim anyway? So you would only do it in Yerushalayim. You're not allowed to take it outside Yerushalayim.
That's only if you can use it. Now we're going to discuss this question of yours, and Mitzvah Hashem continue this discussion of Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Elazar in the days to come.
Baruch.